Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of our financial aid series, where we talk about ways to make college more affordable and easier on your wallet. So, we talk about things like financial aid, scholarships, loans, tax credits, and a lot more. Also, you can send your kids to great colleges without financial stress for you or for them. So, if paying for college is in your future, stay here for money saving tips you won't get from Google, from high school counselors, and unfortunately, not from colleges themselves. Hi, my name is Roman Polnar. If we haven't met yet, I'm a financial aid expert and your host for these financial aid series. And today we'll talk about the four best things you can do to pay less for college. Today's May 18th, and it's an important time because all high school seniors have already made their final decisions and their final commitments. And the biggest frustration that I hear from them and usually their parents as they were approaching May 1st, which is the National College Decision Day, is how are we going to pay for college? We need more money. And I still get these calls after kids have accepted their final financial aid offers and college acceptance offers because now they're thinking, well, where's the money going to actually come from so that we can start in the fall and not go in debt. And so right now, we're going to talk about four ways that you can pay less for college, especially if your kids are not yet seniors. If they have not yet gotten into college, you've got the time to do these four things so that by the time your kids do get into college and they're here this time, sometime in the future, May 18th of some year when they are going to be high school seniors, you're not going to have to call someone like me and frantically ask me to help you find money or worse, help you find loans so you can pay for college. So, think of these four things as opportunities to get discounts on colleges or get extra money that you just didn't have that you can now use to pay for college. Uh, by the way, as we're talking through this, the one thing I want you to keep in the back of your mind is that when I talk about helping you find money, I want to help you find free money, not loans, money that you don't have to borrow and later pay back. So, everything that we're talking about is all about finding free money first. I recognize that some of you might still have to borrow something to bridge that little gap. I just hope it's a smaller amount of loans that you'll have to take and that you'll find free money first before you go to pay for or before you go to borrow. So, I'm going to tell you what these four things are, and then we'll dive deeper into each one of them so you can actually start doing them right away. They're a bit time sensitive, and I will share with you what those time frames are. So, the first thing that I recommend every single college bound family figure out is where are you going to get the biggest savings? Look, your kids are unique, your family situation is unique, and your finances are unique. And those three unique things mean that everyone is going to get money from different places. And if you can figure out where you're going to get the biggest savings, when your child is going to get the biggest savings, and you can do this before they apply to college, you're going to be in much better place because everything that you're going to be able to do from here on will be aligned and directed towards getting that money. Thing number two is figuring out which colleges will actually give you the biggest discounts. Again, this ties very closely to the first thing I just shared with you. Every student is unique. Every family is unique. Your finances are unique. Well, colleges discount their tuition, or colleges give money to families and kids that have unique characteristics that the colleges in particular are willing to give money for. So if you can pick the right colleges, well, you'll get far more money. Thing number three, completing the right forms in the right way at the right time. If you remember nothing else from this talk, then just this one thing, remember these three R's: right financial form, right completing them in the right way, and then submitting them at the right time. Right forms, right way, right time. Um, I'll talk more about this in just a moment, but let me tell you about the fourth thing. which is when your kids actually get into colleges, the fourth biggest opportunity you're going to have is to get bigger financial aid offers, because the first financial aid offer that colleges give is usually not their best offer, and it's usually not the last. And so, knowing these four things and doing them correctly is going to help a great deal. Because I want you to think of this kind of college roadmap or the college path that you're on like an extended trip, as if you were taking a road trip across the country, right? And each one of these things is like a pit stop on the way to college. So you're going to need to stop for, for gas, for food, for breaks, for sleep, for supplies, and hopefully do some sightseeing along the way. So just taking that as an example, if you plan ahead, well, you know that you can save a lot of time. You'll be able to save a lot of money and you can have a better experience overall because you actually have a plan in place. And unfortunately, a lot of times when parents and their kids begin this journey, now I'm not talking about the road trip, I'm talking about the journey of planning for college, they don't have a plan. They start off on two very different paths. Kids are looking for things in colleges that they're interested in. Parents are hoping secretly that the kids will pick every, college in the right way, and they'll do everything that at the end of the day they'll be able to actually get into college and pay for it with ease. But it's usually not, they're not usually making progress walking the same path. And so as a result, they end up missing these really big money saving opportunities. So you're not going to do that, because if you follow this advice, you're going to take the time to do all four of these things, and you'll do them correctly so that your kids are going to be able to get into great colleges and you are going to pay a lot less for them than everybody else. All right, so let's break these things down one at a time. So, where can you get the biggest savings? Look, the reality is some kids will get a lot of help from the government. Some kids will get a lot of merit scholarships directly from colleges. Some of them will get big tuition discounts. Some kids will go after private scholarships outside of the whole college system. Unfortunately, some won't get enough money from any single place, but they can collect a little bit of money from different sources so that together, regardless of what their kind of path is, they'll be able to get more money and bigger discounts from colleges so that you, as a parent and as a family, wouldn't have to pay anything close to the sticker price. So, your goal in this very first step is to figure out where your child and you as a family will get the most money and position yourself and position them for that. So, simply speaking, let's say if they're going to go after need based financial aid, right? That's the traditional financial aid that most people are already familiar with. So if your student is going to qualify for a lot of need based financial aid, then you need to position your finances in a way to get the lowest expected family contribution that you can. Because the lower your EFC, the bigger the amount of financial aid that you're automatically going to pre qualify them for. And you want to do this now, long before you do anything else, especially long before your kids actually apply for colleges. Now, maybe your kids are not going to qualify for a lot of need based financial aid. Maybe they're going to go after merit based aid, things like scholarships, grants, and tuition discounts. Well, so you want to help them look for colleges that will actually give them the money, where they will be a good match. So you position them in the right matching with the right colleges. I'll talk more about that in step number 2. Well, what if your kids are going to go after private scholarships? Well, don't wait until they apply to colleges, and certainly don't wait until they get in. Start applying for those scholarships today. A lot of families don't realize that there are scholarships for college starting when their kids are in grade school. So if you know that that's going to be your path, well, then you can find those appropriate scholarships for your student at every step along the way so that by the time they go to college, you would have banked a lot of money that you wouldn't have otherwise. So position yourself for whatever area will give you the biggest savings. That's thing number one. And you can start this when your kids are just getting into high school or anytime through high school. Do this first. All right. The second thing is figure out which colleges will actually give you the biggest discounts. Look, we talked about this in step number one. If your kids are going to go after need based financial aid, you want to look for colleges that will actually give them all of the money that they qualify for. Remember, I talk a lot about this in prior episodes where the financial aid formula that you should commit to memory is fairly simple. You take the cost of attendance, that's the total cost of attending 1 year of any college. It includes everything like tuition, room and board, books, supplies, fees. That's your total 1 year cost of attendance. You subtract from that your expected family contribution. That's your EFC. The difference between these two numbers is the amount of aid that your family qualifies for. So you want to look for colleges that will actually give you 100% of the money that you need. It's that simple. Now, if your family's not going to qualify for need based financial aid, then don't worry about colleges that will give you all that money because that's not what you're going for. You want to look for colleges that will give your student merit based scholarships, tuition discounts, grants, money that they want to use to attract your student. So look for those colleges in step number two so that if your student applies to great fit colleges for them that will also give them a lot of money, well, you know that you're setting yourself up for success because when they actually get accepted to any or all of these colleges, you're going to be picking between the best offers that you can get. All of them, though, would be good. So picking the right colleges is really important. And by the way, if you've got a high school junior, this is the exact thing that you should be working with them on right now because they're going to start applying in the fall of this year. And take these next few months to help them find these right colleges and position yourself and your student for the right money. Once you've done that, step number three, which generally takes place in the fall of their senior year of high school. Starting October 1st, financial aid forms go online, and you should be well prepared for this to fill out the right financial aid forms in the right way at the right time. So I've crammed three things into this one step, but they're three equally important things because oftentimes, if families have done all the right work to position their finances, to pick the right colleges where they can actually get the money, but if they skip this third step and they never apply, or if they fill out the wrong forms, or if they fill out the forms incorrectly, or if they submit them late, all of the work they would have done up to this point will be fairly meaningless, quite honestly, because they're not going to get the kind of money, or when I say they, I mean your kids, are not going to get the kind of money that they could have gotten had they done this step correctly. Because if you don't submit the right financial aid forms, or if you submit them incorrectly, or if you put the wrong information in, or if you submit them late, colleges won't put together the best financial aid offer that you otherwise could have gotten. I see families skip filling out the financial aid form because they think, well, we're not going to qualify for traditional need based financial aid, so why bother? Well, I always tell families you want to bother because some colleges will give scholarships or grants that have nothing to do with your finances only if you actually submit financial aid forms. Because if you don't, the college admissions office is going to see that, well, you didn't even submit it. So you're probably going to just be willing and ready to pay the full sticker price. So if they accept your kid, they send the file over to the financial aid office. Financial aid office sees that there is no financial aid form, and they'll say, great, we've got a full pay family. How cool is that? Right? Well, if I'm college, I'd want everybody that comes to our school to pay full price, right? We have more money. Well, you want them to give you money. You don't want to pay for full price. So you don't want to skip on this important step. You want to submit the forms, even if you don't think you're going to qualify. You just have to submit the right forms. You also want to submit them correctly. I see families kind of submit them, but they submit haphazardly. They don't really take the time to put the right information in. But missing a single digit or adding an extra digit can make a world of difference because on paper, it can make you seem so wealthy that even though you submitted the form, the college is going to say, oh, they don't need the money. They'll just pay full price. So it's really important that you fill it out correctly. And the timing is important. Financial aid is given out on the first come, first served basis. So if you complete the form correctly and you complete the right forms, but you don't send it in early, then you are going to get placed in the back of the line. And every year, colleges will only allocate a certain amount of money to be given out that year. So if by the time your turn comes and all the free money has been given out, your student can get financial aid. It's just going to be filled with loans or work study. And that's not the kind of money you want. Remember, from the very beginning, I said we want you to get free money first. Before you have to explore borrowing and financing college, get the free money first. And you do that with these three things that I've mentioned so far. And this third step is how you actually let colleges know and how you get in line for the right amount and the right type of money. All right, once you've done that, right, preferably sometime in October, November of your kid's senior year of high school. You've submitted the financial aid forms, you did everything right, and you submitted them early. The fourth biggest area of money savings is going to be in getting the biggest financial aid offers that you can. I mentioned this earlier that first financial aid offers are usually not the best, and it's usually not their final offer. Most colleges will give you an offer with some amount of money. Sometimes it's a good offer, but it's not great, and it might not be the best that they can give you. And they do it hoping that you'll just accept whatever they're giving you and you'll walk away. You won't ask for more. That's the strategy, that's the plan. And, if they gave you a pretty good offer up front, well, then that's pretty good. But that doesn't always happen. Sometimes the first offer is terrible. People can qualify. People have done all the right things. They've applied to the right colleges that should give them the money. And colleges know this. But, they're also dealing with the after effects of the pandemic. They're also dealing with higher inflation. And they say, gosh, we're not going to give a lot of money this time around. We're going to just give them very, very, very little. And again, in hopes of you saying, great, I'll take it. We'll take anything. Just we're so happy that our kids just got into college that we're not even going to press them for more money. Like we'll figure out how to pay for it. We'll have to dig ourselves into debt. Doesn't matter. Our kids are in, great. Job well done. Well, and that's what colleges are hoping for because they know how stressed out you are and how stressed your kids are just anxiously awaiting acceptance letters. And so they're hoping that if they get the acceptance letter, that alone will satisfy you and satisfy them. But you shouldn't settle for just an acceptance and a crappy financial aid offer, especially if you've done all the work up to this point and you know that you've positioned yourself for all the money that you can get. You've chosen the right colleges, you've applied for the money in the right way. Damn it, you should get the money. So, getting the biggest financial aid offer sometimes means that you have to file a financial aid appeal and negotiate for more money. And there are different ways to do that. And I've got other episodes that have talked about it. But that's what you do in that fourth step when your kids get their acceptance letters. That usually happens sometimes in the winter to spring of their senior year of high school. So, those are the four things. They're not terribly complex. Like there are things you have to do within each one. But if I could give you, the most ideal scenario then I would say you want to start figuring out where you're going to get the biggest savings and positioning yourself, your finances, and your student, like making sure that they, going to prepare themselves, not just academically, but overall, they'll almost like having a CV or a resume, right? That they're spending the right amount of time doing the right activities and volunteering if that's what they're going after, or you know s- improving their SATs or ACT scores, getting better essays, whatever the case might be, like whatever amount of money or the type of money, sorry, not amount, the type of money that they're going after, positioning yourselves. You want to do this in the sophomore and the junior year of their high school. If you do this in those or one of those 2 years, you're going to have enough time to do all the rest of it without really being pressed for time. Looking for colleges that will then actually give you the biggest discounts or the most amount of financial awards, whether it's need based, merit based, or tuition discounts. This is what you should do in the kids' probably spring of their junior year over the summer of the between junior and the senior year. That's the best time. You can also do it in the sophomore year. Absolutely. That's only going to make your lives easier because you will have more time and like less stress. You won't be pressed for time, but most kids will start looking at colleges in the junior year. So you should be looking with them if you've got a high school junior at home right now. And then the third thing, filling out financial aid forms, this happens in the first semester of their senior year of high school. Forms go online October 1st. Like, you can prepare yourself. You can do mock, FAFSA and CSS profiles. You can model your expected family contribution long before, which I recommend. But you can't fill these forms out before October 1st of the kid's senior year. So there's no need to stress about it. Just know that come October 1st, these forms go online and you should be ready. Doesn't mean you need to do it on October 2nd. In fact, if you do it on October 1st or 2nd, chances are the website's going to crash because there's so many people trying to get it done all at once. It's okay to wait a week or two or three, but try not to take more than a couple of months to get it done. Preferably sometime in October or November, but no later than that, so that you can get earlier in line for the best financial aid. And then finally, the fourth step happens when your kids get into college. So, if they applied early action or early decision, you're going to know by January if their kids are in, if your kids are in. And if they are, that's when you're going to start, negotiating for more financial aid. Otherwise, if they applied regular decision, well, you're probably expecting offers sometime in February or March, which is going to give you 2 to 3 months to do all of this work, the negotiating, the financial aid appeals, and having conversations with the financial aid office. Because by May 1st, your kids are going to be expected to make their final decision, and you are going to be expected to write the deposit check and secure your kid's seat in the incoming freshman class that fall. So these are the four best things. Highly recommend you start right now. Even if your kids are freshmen or sophomore in high school, this is the best time for you to start learning these things and doing them. And if you've got a high school junior, do it right now. Don't delay because the time is of the essence. If you guys want any help, feel free to comment. You can always reach out to me. You can also go to freemoneyfirst.com. That's freemoneyfirst.com. It's our landing page where we have a solution or an offer for those of you who are looking for a better solution. It's a community of college-bound families just like yourselves that learn directly from me and other financial aid and college admission experts on ways to do these four things in the best way. And we have regular community calls where we'll take a topic like the four things that we talked about, except I'm going to take a very, very specific thing, for example, in one week, and I'm going to dive deeper into it to help everybody in our community do that one thing themselves or do it for them in a way and provide you with the resources that you would need to make this easier. So it's a community of college bound families where we do these things together. So if that's something that you would find helpful and like to learn from a college aid expert like myself and from others, as well as learn from the collective wisdom of other families going through the exact same thing that you're going through, check it out. I think it'd be massively helpful for you. And if you've got questions, you can always post them as well. And actually, it looks like a question just came in from one of our live attendees. So let's see. If you don't mind, I'm going to put it up on the screen. Hey, Brian. All right. Is there a rule of thumb or threshold that is not worth filling out the FAFSA and just concentrating your time on scholarships instead of grants? Last child or older kids already through college? Um, Brian, that's a really good question. So I think what you're asking is if you think that your expected family contribution is going to be really high because of your income or your net worth, should you even bother filling out the FAFSA? My answer is yes, you should. There is no threshold. I mean, unless, well, actually, let me walk that back. There's no threshold for the FAFSA, but there should be a threshold for you, right? If you can comfortably write the check for the full cost of college that your kids are looking at, and you've got the money and you don't need it, you don't need extra money, you don't need financially, you don't need grants and scholarships, then don't fill out the FAFSA. And you can hope that the college is going to give a little bit of money. But if you don't need it, if you're not going to really miss it, that's not an opportunity lost. But if you need the money, even if you're a higher income or higher net worth family, then you probably should submit the FAFSA anyways, because some colleges will use the FAFSA to give merit scholarships like grants or scholarships or just tuition discounts. And they won't give it to families who don't complete the FAFSA, even if you don't qualify for the need based aid. So I recommend you always do it. Anyways, you've got nothing to lose, quite literally nothing but 30 minutes of your time. If you prepare your finances and if you're well organized, you can literally get the FAFSA done in 30 minutes. Um, all of our community families do it in 30 minutes. Maybe you can do it in 45 if you really, take the time to punch in the numbers, but it's usually just copy and paste and it's pretty easy and it's quick. Um, I will mention one thing is that in the past, families had reservations about filling out the FAFSA because by completing the FAFSA, uh, male students were automatically required to register with the Selective Service, meaning that if there was ever a draft in this country, then by applying for the federal financial aid through the FAFSA, your sons would effectively be required, um, to be registered with the Army. And well, that requirement is gone. So you actually have the choice of whether you want your kid to register with Selective Service or you can opt out. So there's no requirement. Um, the other reservation that some families had in the past is that if kids had any prior criminal records, like if they might have done something in high school or earlier, they wouldn't be considered for financial aid because there was a question that asked them about any past, records, and if they said yes, well, they were disqualified automatically. That too is now gone away. The question is still on this year's FAFSA, but it no longer triggers a disqualification. So, anyways, long answer to probably a very short question. Sorry about that. But if this helps other people, then it's worth going a bit long. um, there's really no downside to filling out the FAFSA other than investing 30 minutes of your time. But the benefit can be enormous because some colleges will give you more scholarships, more grants, or tuition discounts just because you asked for it. And even when the time comes for you to ask them for more, when they actually get accepted, almost every single one of them will look into your file to see if you submitted the FAFSA. And it helps if you did. All right. So I hope that was helpful. All right, folks, I'm not going to hold you any longer than I have to. I hope you found this to be helpful because these four different areas, these four opportunities, these four ways to pay less for college are meaningful, they're significant, they're real. And they're the four biggest things that get overlooked by families who struggle to pay for college out of their pocket when their kids get into school, usually this time of the year when their kids are seniors in high school. And so if you can do these four things before your kids get into college, you're going to find and collect a lot more money, and you'll be able to pay for college with more ease without having to depend on debt. So again, if you want some more help, if you want to learn about the benefits of joining our college planning community, go to freemoneyfirst.com and see if it's right for you. If you've got any questions, just email me. It's Roman at pillar6college.com. You can also message me on any of the social platforms that you may be watching this on. And I or a member of my team will be happy to get back to you and answer your questions. So, with that, I wish you all the very best. Good luck in your college planning journey. If you decide to continue learning with us, look forward to meeting you in person, at least remotely on Zoom or by phone or by email, or next time I do the college financial aid call next Wednesday. Till then, see you later. Thanks for watching.